Mayor, Council, three things on the fire agenda tonight. First two are dispatch agreements we'll go through. I don't have a copy for the overhead, so. First dispatch agreement is for the I94 response. We've had this in place since 2002, just as an MOU. The county has asked us to memorialize this. It's beneficial for them to have something to point to dispatch to say, you didn't do this, they've requested this, their councils have signed off on this. Basically, any call between the 201 and the 205, both fire departments will get dispatched at the same time, which is for the most part happening today. St. Michael will take 241 to 94 westbound. We will take 19 to 94 eastbound, and the first red truck that shows up on scene will take that call, allowing the other vehicles to respond as necessary. During the construction, and then when they put the 6-foot-high barrier wall in between the two lanes of traffic, which has been great, it's the easiest way for us to respond. Normally, if we would get a westbound call, we'd have to go down to 241, turn around, fight traffic, come back. If St. Michael would get an eastbound call in St. Michael, they'd have to come code 3 through County Road 19, through County Road 37 to head eastbound. So we're saving at least 5 minutes of drive time, if not more, each way. The city that the call is in is still responsible for responding, maybe even routine. If it's a car fire, we have to do the investigation. If there's an accident and we need to do some insurance gathering or whatever that is, that municipality is still responsible for those things. That wasn't spelled out in the old MOU. So it's just kind of, they'd show up on something and they'd leave and we'd get there, right? So this just kind of dictates what that is. Two departments have different truck pulling sequences for accidents on the highway, which I think is fine in this case. The incident commander, whoever shows up first, whatever city is free to dictate what resources are needed or can clear and things like that. So especially with construction starting again for us, it's beneficial to get that first resource heading westbound, even if it's coming from a little ways away. So doesn't change what we're currently doing, just memorializes it. I'd like to point out now, and I'll point it out in the structure fire dispatch agreement, we throw on words like mutual aid, automatic aid, dispatch agreement. This is a dispatch agreement. Wright County is agreeing to dispatch 2 agencies to this type of call in this geographic area. That's all it is. And it's as simple as that. We have adopted the joint cooperative agreement for Wright County Chiefs Association. Both cities have. All the rest of that stuff is taken care in that document. This is just dispatch, please send us both at the same time. We will respond and take care of the incident once we get there. Yes, sir. We got 2 more to go, so. Okay. He's saving that one.
Minor question.
Yep.
Just minor. When you get a dispatch, does it tell you east or west bound?
Usually,
Usually?
but some people don't know which direction their house faces, right? So, or they thought they saw something and called in and now they're in Rogers, or.
Yeah, it's minor.
So we have had,
When
it's westbound and it's eastbound, right? So previously, we would hope or bring up the 5.11 cameras and see where is the crash actually.
I can look at your spreadsheets, I mean, your numbers, but for this year, has there been an uptick this year? No.
Not yet,
Good.
not yet. And I think we pulled numbers for last year, because St. Michael had a similar question. No one's looking to add calls. I think between all of last year, I think our total of all incidents on the highway was 18. So, and we would have probably gotten dispatched to 12 or 13 of those, right? Pick and choose, well, I'm heading this way, well, no, you're actually not. But like I said, that barrier, concrete barrier, we used to be able to work across the median a little bit when it was cable barriers. It's not applicable or safe to do at this point, so. It's a good question, though. So I think the first, the adoption of this agreement would be first on the list of yeses, please.
How will this be impacted when, well, I shouldn't say when, I mean, I guess Otsego has a fire department. How are they gonna do their, I mean, they've got a stretch of 94.
They do.
Are we going to be dispatching to that, or hard to justify that as an kind of a mutually beneficial thing for us. They
Agreed,
have an obligation to cover their stretch of road,
agreed.
which we would get
Yes.
to faster, without a doubt.
Yes. Very fair question, very good question. I will go back to the staff level meeting in January where we came up with a letter basically to council, that in January, their staff said that their goal was to respond to every call in the city, in their city. I will tell you from responding to accidents on I-94 between County Road 19 and the Otsego Monticello border, that we will get there first. And if committed, we will spend hours on the highway taking someone else's call. So that's up to the council in the future where we draw that line. I will use the accident of the last one that we had was 2 helicopters landing on the freeway. We were on the freeway for 2.5 hours with nowhere to go, and the call was in the city of Otsego. With traffic, with backed up traffic, St. Michael coming from a similar direction, took them 25 minutes to get to the call once they got on the highway. And we needed their help.
Yep.
And then they also have eastbound. So that's through traffic to the first emergency turnaround, which is up by Men Road currently, which now is a full access emergency turnaround, full visibility. When the gap project is done, it will be a 6-foot high barrier wall with gaps cut in the barrier wall with retention devices, and the fire trucks may be able to see over the top of the barrier, and that's it.
What's an
We're,
attention device?
we're the yellow, either the water barrels or whatever, so you don't hit the concrete divider going.
Once the road's
85
done,
miles an
that
hour.
turnaround will not be there? I thought we worked.
MnDOT has
I thought we
said they
wanted
were
that.
going to keep the emergency turnarounds. They will just look a lot different. They won't be full approaches like they are now. They probably won't be intended for snowplows. They'll be intended for emergency response only, and it will look and operate very different than it is now. Right now, we've got 5. If we use the center lane, if we use the far right lane, the far outside lanes, we're down to 3. They said their plans include keeping those turnarounds, but they're just gonna be harder to access than a large vehicle. But that's, I mean, for the council to determine whether they wanna go in 2026 or 2027 with that. But yeah, we would,
I mean,
there's no way we won't,
Be here first.
never say never, never say always, right? But just geographically speaking, we will get there first.
it actually seems like if they were going to do this, that Monticello would be the faster responder on anything coming eastbound. I mean, having to go up, especially if it's further
Potentially,
screwing around with the turnarounds. I mean, that's-
potentially. And I know they're not looking to add mileage to their highway coverage, right? Because they come all the way down to the 200 or 199 and then have to go back up to the 193 or so. So that's 10 miles of roadway that they've got already. Picking up another mile is insignificant mile-wise, but there's a lot of crashes that happen in that stretch from County Road 19 through that Men Road test strip.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the I-94 Dispatch Agreement with the cities of Albertville and St. Michael?
So
I will
moved.
make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is a structure fire dispatch agreement for the cities of Albertville, Hanover, and St. Michael. We're adding a third city to the fray. We've kind of loosely operated under this agreement. We've done really well with St. Michael. Hanover's kind of been the one on the fringe, and part of it is because we can't find a document that this has been memorialized in. So scrolls, whatever, were when this was talked about previously. Same situation. This is for structure fires only in the 3 municipalities, so it would not cover any contract areas, so it would not cover our portion of Otsego. It would not cover Hanover's portion of Hennepin County or Rockford Township or anything like that, just the municipalities. If a confirmed structure fire happens in one of the 3 cities, the other 2 cities will get automatically dispatched to our area. They'll respond with a predetermined apparatus, which for the other two cities responding to Albertville would be an engine. If we get a call in Hanover or St. Michael, we would bring our aerial, because they're gonna be looking for aerial water supply. Knowing that this may become an issue in the future, if you look at line 3 or paragraph 3 of the agreement, it says that the other two departments shall immediately respond with the first fully staffed apparatus. So we want the first one coming our direction. We've agreed to provide our first one heading their direction. Obviously, if, like, same in the 94 dispatch agreement, circumstances dictate we're too busy, we can't respond right, we're not legally obligated to respond. It's up to our department to make sure that we're staffed to do this. Other equipment like tenders, pickup trucks can be dispatched. Tenders, obviously, if it's a non-hydrogen area, they're gonna be needed. But the initial page will start those either engine or aerial apparatus. And we'll get back to why I bring that to your attention in the next discussion. Same thing as before. Whatever municipality the fire happens in, that city's fire department is ultimately responsible for the fire investigation, regardless of who gets on scene first. If an incident commander or chief officer from one of the other three cities gets to a scene first, they're the incident commander until that is taken from them or given to the host fire department. We've currently been operating under this for the most part. Hanover will call our tower if they need us. Now we're just agreeing to send it if they get a structure fire. So what that does for us too is it layers resources. You're not getting, I mean, for me, I want all of our people first, but then it provides some time gap between the second and the third, right? You come up with your plan, here's the plan, okay, the next truck versus 95 resources showing up at the same time, which is great, like New York City, but now you gotta do something with 330 firefighters in a 2-story house, so. Yeah, I'll take questions on the structure fire dispatch agreement.
If
Go
I can
ahead.
add real quick, Chief, is this, whether this was in writing or if it was a handshake, I don't recall, but it's this sort of a relationship that's also allowed us to coordinate purchases of equipment. So when we purchased or replaced the ladder, we knew that St. Michael was going to have the 2 engines and what have you. So that's significant for the 3 cities.
What would that have to do with purchases?
So
They said, yes, please buy the aerial.
Well, that's my point, that we bought an aerial, so neither one of those cities had to. What did we get out of that deal?
A truck for over half what you'd pay for it today. And in 8 months, not 4 years.
And we haven't had to buy the boat.
I love that idea.
We don't need a boat.
Tim has a boat.
But the other guys have a boat.
Oh, okay.
We've got a little inflatable banana boat, that's all we need.
Buy a boat on Craigslist for $100.
I'll bring that back to the next council meeting, I'm buying one now.
So does this apply to the whole city of Hanover, did you say, or just the portion in Wright County?
Or the mayor property.
I mean, because.
The it would cover in the municipality of Hanover, so yes, it would
But
cover
Hennepin
the,
County doesn't dispatch us if there's a fire on the Hennepin County side?
correct, Wright County would dispatch Hanover. Hennepin would call Wright County to dispatch Hanover. So
Okay,
if the call comes in a Hennepin County address, they would transfer it they would start a Hennepin County deputy. They would transfer it to Wright County, knowing,
that's how we get.
and then we would
looped
get
in, then we
paged by
cross the
Wright
river.
County. And then we
But
would,
we would end up in Hennepin County.
potentially, yes, but only in their city limits. It wouldn't cover their part of Corcoran, it wouldn't cover their part of Rockford Township, it wouldn't cover any of those, just like they wouldn't we could still get called if they need help. Just like if we have a fire in Otsego, Hanover and St. Michael wouldn't necessarily get called to that immediately, because we have a dispatch agreement with Elk River and Rogers for Otsego.
Okay,
So yes, it would cover the municipality, but that's currently being routed to Wright County anyway.
okay.
We
Good
really
question,
haven't
though.
had any issues with multiple dispatches, whether it's.
No, we here in Albertville, we haven't. So no different than parts of Otsego we go to, someone calls in a fire from Sherburne County, right? Hits a cell phone tower, gets directed to Wright County, right? So
Okay.
it's actually easier for us to get dispatched to the Hanover piece because it's all coming through Wright County Dispatch.
Perfect.
That's a good question, though.
Any other questions? Look for a motion to approve the structure fire dispatch agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Third, I just wanted to give council an update. Otsego had a joint meeting last week with their city council and their public safety commission on their staffing study. So I wanted to fill you in on my take on it and how it may affect Albertville in the future. It's their study, it's not my study. So I'll try to stick with the pieces that you should be concerned with or aware of going forward. There's a couple things obviously I'll have to refer to. Ryan can correct me if I misspeak on something. He was there, so I'll defer to him on anything there. First thing I want to talk about is paid on-call firefighters. Their staffing model shows for hiring of up to 10 full-time career staff, up to 20 paid on-call staff. Some of the language in the study talks about with that paid on-call model, or technically it'll be a combination department. With the paid on-call staffing, it talks about the ability to provide regional resources. I don't believe that to be true because I don't think there's enough firefighters to go around. We are staffed fully at 33. They're proposed to be staffed fully at 20. Rogers is staffed to be fully at X. Elk River is staffed to be fully at X. None of us are fully staffed. Their emergency services director said that they would not try to take firefighters from other cities. It's probably the right thing to say, but my fear is that it won't add to the strength of the region. It will dilute the firefighters in the region. Just today, I had 3 firefighters come in and tell me they're resigning in the next couple of weeks. So we will be down to 25, authorized 33.
Are they leaving to go somewhere?
2 are moving. One is debating his just life, right? Do I have time to do this anymore? We are responding to 600 calls. That's about the point where you start seeing a taxing level on the paid on call model. And on top of that, our last job posting, we got 7 applications. For 10 years, our average is 5 to 7 applicants per firefighter. So to start up 20, you need 120, 140 applications. We gave a job offer out of that listing, 2. One guy's through everything, the other guy won't come in and fill out his background packet. So even if we get him through the process, we still have to get him in the room. And we gotta get him here for long term. One of the members that's resigning has been here for a year and a half. He's out, he's moving. Just that model is tough. So something for us to look at going forward, how do we make it attractive to stay on the Albertville Fire Department as a paid on call firefighter? Yes, our call volume should drop in 2 years from 600 to 300, which I think will help. Just gives you more time to do things. But I think that dilutes the pool of people that want to do this and have the time to do this because it's not out there right now. And you can ask anybody across the state. If you're full, you're the anomaly. You're not the rule.
What's the total cost of hiring 10 full-time firefighters?
I think their budgetary number and the reason we didn't include the study in the packets because it's 96 pages. The link's online. Their initial budgetary cost for personnel was like 1.6 million.
I mean,
Is that right? Right. Okay.
That's a lot.
I
Seems right.
get that. I mean, I have no doubt that they'll be able, if they're willing to pay for 10 full-time firefighters, I don't doubt that they will be able to fill that, right? I mean, there's plenty of these guys that want to go and that want to find full-time work in this line. I mean, you guys printing money up there, Ryan? I mean, it's, you got a mint or something that I'm unaware of, because that's I mean, Godspeed, my friend, but that is that's a chunk of cash. And then trying to figure out your other, I mean, and, you know, we've talked about this, and I know the state is looking at putting together the study on the fire service broadly. I use the Otsego example a lot down there, because everybody else is moving towards, or the consensus of the state seems to be that we've got to move towards more regional models for the specific thing that you talked about. I mean, it is getting impossible to staff these. And so it seems a little ironic that while the rest of the state is moving towards expanding to be able to fill out, to be able to find these guys to do this, we're kind of in this parsing out, and we're gonna separate, we're gonna all fight over the same guys in the area that are willing to do this. I think this is, I feel like there are going to be long-term problems that come along with this. And I mean, unfortunately, I don't know how this, how we walk this back. I mean, I don't know how you get to the point of, you know, what we've talked about for a long time about a northeast, you know, Wright County Fire District. And who knows, I mean, maybe the state's gonna end up forcing this on us, and maybe Otsego spends all this money in vain, and then the state tells them that, that turns out you don't have a choice, because in the best interest of the state, I mean, I could honestly see things going that direction. I don't know. There's a lot here. I mean, obviously, we want to be protective of the guys that we have, built them up, trained them, want to do what we can to make sure that they don't get poached.
Yeah, and I mean, the training piece is fair, right? Like, I mean, we're proud in Albertville to support firefighters that started here and have gone on to full-time careers,
That's a complete.
right?
Yeah.
But they're staying here
Yeah.
to work in their community. We provide a perfect training ground for these people to explore the world of the fire service and gain skills, and it's kind of our own in-house training program. We definitely want to keep them here to serve our city.
The rules at our city around participating in 2 volunteer,
As long as you, on our department right now, as long as you meet the minimum requirements for both, you can be on both. I know there are cities around here that are looking at policies that require you to be on one paid-on-call fire department. If we have 600 calls, and I'd lived this for 10 years, if we have 600 calls, St. Michael's pushing 700 calls, now you're responding to 1,300 calls. And if they're there, they're not here. And if they're here, they're not there. And very rare, so we get a structure fire and we both go, you're not getting 2 firefighters, you're getting 1 firefighter.
right?
So you're not increasing your workforce, because now they're picking and choosing. So can I make Wednesday training or Thursday training? Because Thursday's Albertville, Wednesday's St. Michael, or Tuesday's Rogers. Which one do I go to, and which one do I learn how to work with my teammates? So there are cities in Wright County right now looking at that policy and saying you can only be on one, because we know what that, I mean, what's 360 hours we're asking of these people every year? Is that what our number was, or maybe even higher than that? So I think it's fair.
Do you think that that would hurt the morale of the team that we do have, or is it something that you think we should consider now, or do you think we should wait?
I mean, I think people are going to choose to stay here for the reasons they want to stay here, right? I think being in operation for 80 years, having the support of the council, having the equipment that we do, having the professional standards that we do for paid-on-call fire department, I hope that travels. I think there'll be people that would love to be number one, right? And I can't fault them for that. I've told them I won't, if they determine that that's what they want to do, I won't stand in their way. I hope that we provide an argument for them to stay here. But they just got to let me know ahead of time, so they're just not jumping ship January 1st of 2027 and their locker's empty. So that doesn't help anybody, right? Because we're not sending them to Otsego then, we're not sending them to St. Michael, we're not sending them to Hanover, they're gone. So one thing in their study you should be aware of is that their pay scale for paid-on-call firefighters is much higher than ours is. This money matters, right? If people tell you it's not about the money, they're lying, because it's always about the money at some point. So this may be something that council looks at when we look at our budget of looking at our pay scale. As a reminder, our reserve program, where people start, is completely voluntary. They don't get paid a dime, and they still sign up to do it. Other cities have looked at, so St. Michael currently pays a stipend when someone gets brought to paid on call. They give them back pay for their completing their fire academy. It's a nice check, thank you for doing that, but that's just what they've decided to do with their staff.
Chief, if I understood you right, so then our reserves would be competing with this in-training figure?
Yes, yes. Once we're paid on call, our hourly training is $11 an hour. We have a separate training rate. It's what was established a long time ago. These may be discussions we have going into budget year next year. Our top pay right now, fourth year and above, $17.38 an hour. So we're half of what Otsego is going to pay their fully credentialed paid-on-call firefighters. That will become a real deal.
That amount that that is only for responding, not for training, or that is?
Our training and response pay are different.
Same. Oh, they are?
So training is the same for everybody.
Okay.
The response pay per hour is different. We have a first and second, we have a first-year pay scale, we have a second and third-year pay scale, and we have a fourth and above. Those rates are tied to cost of living increases that you approve every year for
Yeah.
city employees. It's worked well. We don't get many complaints, so if we get a half-hour call, they get paid for an hour, right? So through the year, their number's a little higher. If you go on actual time spent, we get a 6-minute call, they get canceled, right? But you get a 59-minute call, that's, right, it evens out in the end.
But these numbers that they're quoting, are they actually published, or is it still?
It's
like,
part,
in
this is part of their study. These have not been,
Not
these have not been approved yet as part of their plan, correct, Ryan? Fair statement? Okay.
Okay.
That's what's in their study. That may change.
Yeah, right.
Our officers get an annual stipend that's paid out monthly, so that's not included in their hourly rate. For us, I wouldn't propose looking at adding money by certification, because in the paid-on-call world, there's not necessarily a seat that you're assigned to. So to pay someone more to get their fire apparatus operator certification and give them more hourly, there's no guarantee they have to drive. They can just go sit in the back, right? So there's no structure that way. So I would advise against looking at the per certification increases. And if we want to just look at our base wage scales, that's something that we can develop in a budget or 2 budgets for next year to take a look at. I think at some point this becomes a real deal for people.
Need to go do some oil exploration along the Otsego border and figure out how they're paying for this.
It's all that, there's got to be trees on 70th Street somewhere we can find, slide them over. So I just wanted to be, so future options for us, is the reserve program feasible? Are we going to get people to sign up for free when they can go next door for $17 an hour? What else plays into that decision? I believe that the training reimbursement piece going forward is an optional thing. I think that shows, thank you for completing 144 hours of training. Here's a back pay stipend. We could figure out that in a budget. Problem is, we don't know how many people are going to send through an academy every year. Right? Is that 1,500? Is that 7,000? What does that number look like? And then just take a look at our hourly wage structure. We're competitive with our other neighbors. We're competitive with St. Michael. We're competitive with Monticello. We're competitive with Buffalo. We're not going to be competitive with, if that truly is the ultimate pay scale that Otsego determines is right for their fire department.
The organization that did the study, are they based out of Minnesota?
The study was done by their fire chief,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
but it's a good question.
Chief, when I perused this, there was a piece that talked about mutual aid. Can you go to that?
Yep, that's next. There was a rather large section on mutual aid in the staffing study, which, if you're talking staffing, why are you talking about mutual aid at the same time? Like I said, it's 21, 26 pages of written stuff. There was a lot of, it was almost like, as I interpret it, Albertville Fire Chief's interpretation, is that it was kind of driving the force that mutual aid is a requirement of neighboring cities. There was some statutory language, but the statutory language only authorizes mutual aid. It doesn't require mutual aid. And in every paragraph you read about mutual aid, the word may is in there, not shall. It sets up the structure to provide mutual aid. That's what the joint cooperative agreement was written on for the Wright County Fire Chiefs Association. It doesn't require. So
So their chief referenced a statute, apparently, to mutual aid. What was being suggested?
So two different things. There's just a general state statute on mutual aid. There's this column here on legal support for mutual aid.
Yeah, this is where, okay.
At the bottom of the page, this one talks about the Minnesota State Chiefs Association Interstate Mutual Aid Plan. I'm obviously very familiar with this document since it's the document of the association and the president of. This document is not used for, we're gonna go help out in Otsego, we're gonna go help out in St. Michael, we're gonna go help out in Hanover. This document is used for large-scale incidents where local resources have been used and we're activating a statewide plan. The last time this was used was last year in Jackson and flooding. It was used in the Burnsville incident to provide resources from around the state to take calls. It was used at the Sherco coal plant fire, and it was used at the Northern Metals recycling fire. This document in itself does nothing for, can you send us a truck or anything like that. That document also does not require that fire departments that fall under the Regional Interstate Mutual Aid Plan have to send support. It's a request to send support, and what it does, it sets up the billing schedule to bill back to those departments should they send something. We send 5 tenders from up north to go to a fire down south. They get reimbursed as long as they're operating under this plan. This plan has to be activated by the Fire Marshal Division and activated by the State Chiefs Association. So it's in here, not necessarily in here the way I would use our interstate mutual aid plan. But like I said, there was just some interesting conversations about why mutual aid is needed or important. 2 more statutes here that were listed. You can see in the top one, the word I highlighted says may. To answer Aaron's question from the previous discussion, I don't have a good handle on how many calls they're gonna expect to respond to in 2027. We've heard numbers from 853, which were in this report, up to 1,000, up to 2,000. Last year, the 3 fire departments responded to 430, 440 calls in Otsego. If we're talking mutual aid to 440 calls, because they will only call us on concurrent calls, that's a lot different than having them respond to 2,000 calls and asking us to respond in concurrent calls. So without knowing that actual number, and that number may change, right, as they develop and they grow. What was interesting to me in that discussion was that they're not planning on adding staffing based on population or call volume, just on concurrent calls. So if we don't have any concurrent calls, we're fine, but if we have 200, now we need help, or we need more staffing. The other concern I have is that if you add staffing, you're not adding fire trucks. So if you have 3 people on a fire truck or 4 people on a fire truck, and we need mutual aid, you're still sending 1 fire truck, you're not sending 2 with 2.
Can I ask you for clarification? You said 440 calls. Are you saying that were mutual aid
No,
calls?
that's what the fire departments responded to, the 3 contract in total.
Oh,
Now, Elk River doesn't respond to medicals
okay.
because they have the ambulance. They'll respond to car crashes. They'll respond to serious medicals where the ambulance needs help. So it's not apples what we do to apples what Elk River does. Rogers responds similarly, but they have a lot less calls per month than we do. We're right at about 25 to 30 calls per month in
But
Otsego
our
right now.
population we cover is higher, right?
Yes, and we just go to more calls.
Yeah. Did we include the freeway? Well, I guess there wasn't that many
Yep,
anyways.
freeway would count, but we don't have that many
Okay.
there. So to me, the number matters, right? How many calls they responded to, how many are we gonna be expected to respond to? I'll find, I think the one last piece I wanna bring up. I'm sorry, it might take me a second. There we go. Second paragraph from the bottom, sorry. To meet these challenges, our dedicated teams composed of career and paid-on-call firefighters We'll work collaboratively, prioritizing Otsego's needs while contributing to the regional emergency response network. Our primary focus is to fully utilize our career staff for local incidents. So I'm guessing that's not just Otsego incident, but probably Otsego incidents. Once stability is ensured, we will deploy paid-on-call firefighters to assist with regional mutual aid. So as we were specific with Hanover and St. Michael about sending the first staffed, fully available apparatus, what was said at the meeting is different than what is written, but what is written is that they would let their full-timers sit in Otsego and then wait for their paid-on-call staff to show up and then send them to mutual aid. In my world, the similarity of that is that if they call us for mutual aid, we tell the first 6 people to wait.
Yep.
Whoever comes in next gets on the next truck and they can go. Who's gonna show up for that? They're gonna sit in the parking lot and wait for 6 people to go in the door, and then they'll come back. So if there was a dispatch agreement in the future, if there was discussion of a formalized mutual aid discussion in the future, council would want to make sure that the response is equal, and it doesn't matter what our turnout time is. We will send you our first, the other piece is that if they're staffing 3, we're multiplying their fighting force by 2, because we will respond with 6. So if we get 3 quicker, as we talked about layering resources, right? It's a different discussion.
I mean, I gotta tell you, I would be embarrassed if you put something like this out and we were like, hey, we're gonna keep the good stuff at home and, we'll send you whatever our sloppy seconds are whenever we get around. I mean, I would be, as a councilman, I would be embarrassed by that.
Like I said, what was said at the meeting was different, but I can only go by what's written because sometimes what's written has been changed before. So this is the current version of what I've seen in the information out. And when I saw this is one of the first things that stuck out to me because having foresight in the Hanover and St. Michael agreement, I was intentional about the first available fully staffed apparatus because, and yes, with St. Michael and Hanover, we're responding with the same response model. We have turnout time, we have travel time, it equals our response time. But for the 3 cities in the dispatch agreement, it's an apples to apples comparison as close as you can get. This would not be an apples to apples comparison.
I just don't understand that we will deploy paid-on-call firefighters to assist with regional mutual aid responses as needed, but then it says the balanced approach, we remain ready at home while also contributing to broader efforts. I mean, I don't understand that.
Correct. Our equal would be that if we want to maintain readiness at home, we would keep that first engine at home.
I thought it meant that they want to keep their paid-on-call firefighters ready at home and anxious to
No.
participate.
They're fire trucks.
Oh. I don't know, whatever.
Sorry, 1 second. St. Michael just got a structure fire.
Why don't you tell the first 6 guys to show up to just take it easy?
We haven't agreed to anything
We'll
yet.
get around to it when we get
I'm
around
just
to it.
I'm the information chair. You guys are the policy approvers, I will say. Those are the high level things that I had.
Chief, not to,
No, you're good.
so back to the mutual aid piece. Obviously, that's been a concern of mine. I just want everybody to be on the same page. What, is it being implied that the mutual aid exists?
I think it still is, yes. And I think it's implied that, they think they're gonna still need mutual aid, which still concerns me even after the staff discussions we've
More
had.
so
and
than
things
like a structural fire dispatch agreement?
I believe so. In reading this, yeah.
It says that in there, it implies that in this last paragraph
And
that
I'm
mutual
reading,
aid
yeah,
is.
I read that the
Mutual
same
aid
way
is
as-
rarely, yeah, it says all that, like, oh, we're not gonna have to pay as a city for it, cause it's rarely associated with direct costs, and it exists, and like, I feel like they're giving their council the impression
Correct.
that.
To me, it was, as the Albertville Fire Chief, it was odd to just have a section on mutual aid in the staffing study.
Yeah.
I believe that internally, they still may be relying or know they may need mutual assistance. But as we've talked, and it's important for the council to remember for the next year and a half, that mutual is mutual. It's not getting your second truck if you're getting our first. And, I mean, geographically speaking, if you would draw a 4-mile radius around our fire station and a 4-mile radius around the proposed Otsego fire station, who's getting deeper in the other person's city with not the same response into our city?
And my concern, council, and as you know from our last contract renewal is I just don't want those people that were currently serving to be under the impression that we'll be able to respond, after such and such a date.
There were some questions at the meeting, and it's online, and Ryan can correct me if I'm wrong. One of the questions from a resident on our side of town had concerns because he, in his words, he knew that we would probably get to an incident in his house
Oh,
first.
yeah, and we feel the question.
And we get those questions on calls when we're there. So I think that's a question that's out there from the citizens. Our response is that starting January 1st, 2027, we will not be responding to these calls.
Didn't we include in our last contract that they have to notify those people?
Correct.
That
Prior to them taking coverage, yes,
they're going to be taking,
yes, correct.
still feel bad for those people.
So, high-level update. If there's more questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'm gonna go help St. Michael on a structure fire.
I think you should do that.
I think there's a lot of questions, but I don't think anything that we're going to solve here tonight.
Not our problem.
Yeah.
I'll take
Good
that.
luck.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
Go fight a fire.